Okay, hey everybody, this is how you're going to install a Dodge backing plate for the new Dodge PowerStep application. We're going to start out with our backing plate, the 2 included rib nuts, and the 1 included pop rivet, a piece of wire to hang onto our backing plate, and it helps to have a little bit of tape for this. So we're going to start out by locating the proper locating position that's outlined in your instructions. We're going to start with just the backing plate in hand, hold it up against the front of the truck, insert 1 rib nut just for locating purposes, and insert the other rib nut for the same purpose. Now here's where the tape comes into play. Just use a little piece of tape just to hold the whole assembly onto the truck. Now you're going to drill your hole for your pop rivet. You're going to use an 1/8 inch drill bit and use the hole on the plate as a guide hole to drill your hole into the sheet metal. Now you can remove the backing plate and the rib nuts. Now you're going to install the backing plate into the truck and install it with the supplied pop rivet. So for this step, it's real important to use your backing plate with the supplied wire so that you don't lose your backing plate into the body of the truck. So loop your supplied piece of wire here through the hole with your backing plate, and now you're going to thread it into the hole and rest it on the ledge there, but the wire makes sure that you're not going to lose your part into the truck there and have to fish it out. So go ahead and just put the rib nuts in by hand just to make sure everything's nice and located, and if you want you can use a little piece of tape here again just to keep everything from falling out, and feel kind of back in there, make sure the backing plate is up against the truck or up against the sheet metal there. Now you're going to insert your pop rivet through the hole and make sure that it's passing all the way through both levels. You got to kind of wiggle your fingers back in there and make sure it's all in position. Now pop your pop rivet, and now the plate is nice and secure and ready for the rib nuts to be installed tight. Okay. So now that you have your backing plate rib nutted into position, give it just one double check to make sure the hole is nice and lined up with the hex on the sheet metal of the truck, and take your supplied rib nut and the supplied rib nut tool and attach the pieces together and just slightly hand tight the whole assembly. Okay, now our instructions are going to instruct you to do one of 2 things, is tighten the bolt 4 rotations to crunch the rib nut into position, and also to hit 110 inch-pounds. If for some reason you don't have a torque wrench, 4 turns is the more critical measurement, so make sure you hit 4 turns. And a little trick for this is we're going to make a mark on our truck, and we're going to make a mark on our socket. As you can see here, we already got a mark on our socket, and so as we tighten this into position, we're going to count off 4 turns. We're also doing this with a torque wrench, and we're setting it to 110 inch-pounds, but you'll find that 110 inch-pounds will hit you almost dead nuts onto 4 turns, and that's what we want to see on this rib nut. So go ahead and install your rib nut tool assembly at this point, and clock it with your mark on your socket, and make sure you hold this inner nut the entire time you're tightening it down. So let's count off the turns. So that's 1. That's 2 turns. That's 3 turns. And that's 4. 4 1/4. We haven't clicked our torque wrench yet, but that's okay. We're happy with 4 turns. That's the more important measurement. Now when you remove your rib nut tool, it's real important to hold the backing nut in position and don't let it turn when you remove your rib nut. And then break the rib nut loose, and now you can remove the whole assembly. And you're going to go ahead and do this on all 4 mounting locations with both rib nuts, so you're going to have to do this rib nut installation 8 times. But a good double check at this point is stick your finger in the back and make sure that the mushrooming of the rib nut got on the outside of the plate and that the plate is held tightly to the sheet metal of the truck. Just give yourself a double check there and you're good to go. Now we have this little hang tab on your backing plate for your Dodge install here, and now we have both rib nuts crushed, tightened, and installed, holding the backing plate in position. So now what we got to do is bend this little helper arm back. And the best way we've found to do this is use a flat blade screwdriver and just kind of get it started by pushing it back. It's not real hard to bend it back, but it takes a little bit of force. If you use a screwdriver and kind of brace your hand against the frame, you can get it to just kind of start over the edge, and then once it's inside, get the screwdriver on it and just push it back by hand. And then from that point you can actually even push it back with your finger. And make sure it's kind of back out of the way there. Maybe about a 3/4 of an inch off the back of the sheet metal. And then you're good to go and ready to install the rest of the application.